ahead and start.
Yeah, we already have. So
Welcome to the Project Gen X podcast. I am Big Dave.
You don't know this any better than I do.
No, I don't. No, I don't.
And I'm Alan Smith, your other host for this look into stuff. And today we are going to be covering a movie that a lot of you have probably not heard of.
It's a movie that I had heard rumors of, but I hadn't ever seen.
I was lucky enough about maybe a year ago, maybe a little more, I don't know.
Yeah.
That I happened to be in a used media store here, and I just happened to be going through their new releases on it, blah, blah, blah. Ooh, they've got a copy of it, and I had not seen it. Anyways, the movie...
Is this the big one down on Old Hickory Boulevard?
No. This is actually Great Escape over here. I mean, that's... but it was one of those...
We've mentioned them enough.
Yeah, but it was one of those things where I was just like, oh, I want this. Because... Yeah. And... Okay, we haven't even said what the name of the movie is yet. The name of the movie is called Series 7, The Contenders. Okay, now... It
feels like a super violent USA Up All Night movie.
It really does. It was... All right, okay.
If
you don't know what this movie was released in 2001, okay? It was released... The release date was May 5th, 2001, okay? I had no idea about this movie at all. Nothing. And one of my roommates at the time...
I've heard people talk about it. That's all I'd heard.
One of my roommates at the time went to see it because it played at the Belcourt, which is our local art house movie.
Yeah, movie
theater here. And came back talking about, oh, this movie's great and everything. So I didn't see it until it was released on DVD later that year. Oh, my goodness. Quick rundown. We're going to spoil this all over the place because there's no way to talk about this movie without doing that.
Okay, so here we go. Here is your major spoiler alert. If you haven't seen this movie yet and you don't want it spoiled...
I encourage you anyway to go see it. I don't know about Dave, but I think because of the subject matter and where we are in media today, to think that this movie is almost 20 years old...
Yeah.
Of how relevant it still is like, wow, this is interesting.
So it's a film by Daniel Minahan. I think I'm saying that right.
Minahan, something. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. Anyway, so the basic conceit of Series 7, The Contenders, is it's a
reality TV
It's a reality television show that's called The Contenders.
Yes.
And this is Series 7. Now, the way that this movie is framed is that it's like you're watching. It says you're watching a marathon. So basically, it's like you're watching television, and this is on.
Yeah.
Okay. It's all done not first person, but it
has a cop's feel to it.
Yeah, they're talking to the cameras. There's interviews. Yeah, it's just like a reality television show because that's what this is. The premise of The Contenders is that it's a
national lottery.
Yeah, and this is a federally sanctioned television show where basically everyone's put into the lottery, and if your number comes up, then you are now one of the contenders. And it's you and there's 7 people that are put into. Is it 6 or 7?
Hold on, it's. We had the original contender.
4, 5. There's 6. It's 6. It's 6 people. So it's every series of this is that there's 6 people who are now contenders. They come to your house or your work or wherever it is, whatever, and they hand you a 9mm.
Yep.
And you have to kill the other 5 people
in order to live.
In order to live to make it to the next.
Part of the tagline is the only thing you win in this game is your life.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. And they do mention that if you get 10 kills, then you can leave.
Yeah.
Like that's your goal. You have to kill 10 people, which basically means you're on two series.
Yeah.
If you survive both the series, then you don't have to come back for the next one. You quote unquote win. As messed up as that concept is already, this one gets even worse.
It seems like the lottery kind of picks the worst of society.
That it is such a the kind of the main character that we are following here is a woman named Dawn that is 8 months pregnant.
Yeah.
She is actually in her second series. She won Series 6.
Yes.
And so now they've moved to Series 7. Well, Series 7 is set, that's easy to say, Series 7 is set in her hometown, her little hometown back in Connecticut.
Yeah.
So, and she has not been home
Is it
in
Newport?
Something like that, but she hasn't been home in 15 years.
Right.
And come to find out, one of the other contenders is the guy that she was in love with in high school.
Yeah. They got pregnant and she had an abortion.
And that was when she left town.
Yeah.
And then he went off to college, and it's not just obvious, they say it. He's gay, but he's trying to live a straight lifestyle. He has married a woman and
ended up with testicular cancer.
Yeah, he's got testicular cancer, so he's on death's door to begin with.
Dying.
And he really is kind of like, thank God, this is where I'm going to get off.
And he ends up kind of being the number 2 character in the storyline.
Right.
But now you've also got...
But then you've also got a young girl.
She's 18.
She's 18.
In college. She's got a boyfriend.
Her name is Lindsay.
Yeah. And her parents are the ultimate helicopter.
Yeah, they're
parents.
there is a scene where she's chasing one of the other contenders across a golf course, and they're in the car yelling out the windows, go, kill him. I mean, they are just like, it's like, whoa, what is going on here?
Okay, boomer.
And then there is Connie, who is a nurse.
But turns out she's an angel of death.
Yeah, she flats, without saying it, says that she's shepherded several people on to the next place.
But they were awful people.
Yeah. Then there is Tony, who is, he's an ex-felon, and
out of work.
He's got a wife and 3 kids, and he's a drug addict and just a kind of a schlub of a guy.
Yeah.
And then there is who's the other dude? Well, see, we said Jeff was the guy that the ex,
yes.
And then there's
the
other guy?
The older guy.
There's 2 older guys.
Well, there was the one you were just talking about, and then there's the older. He's like in his 60s. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. But he doesn't want to be in any part of it whatsoever.
If you notice, the inside of his trailer is completely covered in tinfoil.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about complete conspiracy theory,
and it's funny because the way that they approach this television show, because it's all framed as a television show. There's a voiceover, there's a narrator, which turns out to be Will Arnett. Did you not notice that?
I didn't.
That's
know
him that shows up at the end of it at the theater. That's Will Arnett, and he was doing the voiceover. Yeah, I
never caught that.
That is, and that was like Will Arnett had been around for a little while, but this was before he was Will Arnett.
Yeah.
And
I bet he wouldn't make it union.
Yeah,
on that one.
yeah, but it's so Will Arnett is doing the voiceover. Like you get in a lot of reality television shows, especially at this time when
you're watching. The Contender Series 7
Marathon, and that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it even has it doesn't have actual commercials, but stuff will go to commercial break and then it'll come back, type. So it really is like you're
watching it on Netflix.
Exactly.
Or something like that.
It's a lot like you're watching this marathon of just Series 7.
I'm tempted to actually dump this in my video editor and insert real commercials into it and then bring it back to you.
Well, what's really kind of cool about this show is that, like I said, it was released in 2001. Okay, this is less than a year after the first series of The American Survivor.
Yeah,
because that came on the air in 2000, and so this was kind of one of those all right, well, let's take this, because you got to remember, in the wake of Survivor, we got Big Brother.
Yeah.
And we got, and then we had other shows. The Amazing Race came a little after that, after this, But we did get stuff like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, which was considered reality television. You also had, what was the one with the British lady, the Weakest Link?
Yeah.
Had come out in this time.
Well, you'd also had stuff like Cops. And
but this being a game show that's a reality show also. And so this was a complete send-up of that show, of all those shows. And it's really scary to watch, like, how reality television has changed over the years to where it's like, no, it's really kind of moving in this direction.
Yeah.
It really does. I mean, it has a very Running Man feel.
It's kind of a mix of that old short story, The Lottery.
By Shirley Jackson.
And then you add in Running Man. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like a precursor to The Purge.
Yeah, I can see that. I haven't seen any of the Purge movies, so I don't know all. I know the concept. But I haven't seen any of the movies now.
You need to at least see the first one.
Now, I did watch, there was that USA
the
show.
No.
I watched the first season of that.
The TV show
I liked it, okay, But I know the concept.
Yeah.
I know, I also know that that's another one of those series that started off as one thing and then became something else.
Yeah.
Because it did start off as a like a home invasion movie, with Ethan Hawke and all that kind of stuff.
Kind of.
And now it's come down to more about the purge itself and all that stuff than it is about the family that's being affected by it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Dawn. And it's one of those things where, again, they're doing interviews. They're talking to...
They got a cameraman following each contender around.
Yeah, and so, she gets back to Connecticut, and they're kind of driving through the town and everything. And so she's calling the other contestants messing with them, like... oh, there's a bomb. Like, she calls Connie, and she's like, there's a bomb in your house. It's going to go off in 5, 4, 3. And so when she runs out, tries to get in the car, she starts shooting at her with her gun jams. And it's like she can't get her, It's that type of stuff, And like, she calls the one dude, and he won't come outside. Like, she's like, look, I'm outside. Just come on. And he's like, no, I'm not going to,
Come out and fight like a man.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's that type of thing. And
he eventually kidnaps his youngest child and goes on the run.
Oh yeah.
The game show. Okay. Evidently, there's rules to the game show.
There are. You can't. You're not allowed to kill yourself.
Yeah.
Because Jeff tries to right off the bat, but the gun's not loaded.
Yeah.
He also has. He basically tells, like, when they finally do meet up, he tells Dawn that he wants her to kill him.
Yeah.
He's ready to go, and all that
just
kind of stuff. You can't not play. You have to be involved. Like, it's one of those things, like, if you try to, because that's the whole thing that Tony, takes off. Like, he tries to run, and like they have this whole they have
SWAT team.
Yeah, the SWAT team's after him and everything. Now, I want to ask you a question about this. Something happens here, okay? When they finally catch Tony, they get the kid away from him.
Yeah.
And then it goes, they're like, oh, the footage, like, something happened. We didn't have the footage. That he's in the hospital now with a self-inflicted stab because he had a knife.
Yeah.
Yeah. He stabbed himself in the back.
Yeah.
And then he's in the hospital, and it's like, wait a second, he stabbed himself in the back?
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's one of those, like, wait a second.
What do you mean he stabbed himself in the back 34 times?
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of one of those, like, why can't we see the footage? Because the cameras were right there. What happened? And then later in the movie, another situation arises like that.
When Dawn and Jeff they basically take a movie theater hostage.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, well, this footage was lost, so here's a recreation.
A reenactment, yeah. And they have two people standing in, and that's where you see Will Arnett comes in.
Yeah.
And we find out what... And then the ending of it. We'll get there. But it is a... They kind of goes through, and then Connie puts this whole thing together, like, after she kills Tony, because she goes to the hospital and kills him. Then
with her whatever drug she uses to kill
she gives him a
people
drug
with.
overdose, and then everybody else gets a letter from a quote unquote resistance, underground resistance, to like, hey, if you come to this mall, we can.
If you come to this mall and stand out in the open where we can see
it's in the mall,
we
kind
can
of
help
stuff.
you.
So they come there as the mall's closing, basically. And everybody kind of gets there, and then come to find out, Connie was the one who like sent the letter, and says
she's in the upper echelons of the mall, shooting at him with a sniper rifle.
Well, first off, Lindsay gets there, and her parents are there also. And what was the dude's name? The older Bob.
Bob, who she's already tried chasing down and killing, and he shot her, and so she runs off, and she forgets and leaves her rifle, and her father's like, "No, you man up, and you go back and get that rifle, and you kill that old man."
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's so messed up. And but anyway, so she walks in, but her gun is the safety's on the gun.
Yeah.
She forgot to take the safety off, and he catches her by surprise and beats her to death with his cane.
Yep.
And then Connie shoots him.
Yep.
And Dawn is there. She sees what's happening because she's on the other side of the mall where Connie is. She sees Connie first, and then she's like, "No, get away!" And it's too late, you know.
She chases Connie down, or tries
to.
Connie gets away in her car. Mm-hmm. Dawn grabs a car and follows her to her house.
Right.
And breaks in the back door.
Right. And then she goes into labor.
Well, no, she has Connie cornered.
Yeah.
And is about to kill her when she goes into
her
labor.
Water breaks,
yeah.
you know, and so Connie has to, because she's a nurse, she's like, "All right, I'm not going to kill you until the baby's, you know." So it's a whole thing where she's having the baby on the dining room table, and it's a breech birth, and so they have to call the police, or call the EMTs.
Paramedics.
The PMTs get there, take her to the hospital, everything's fine. But then after she's had a little time to recover, they take the baby away from her.
Yeah.
And they're like, "You have to go. You're still in this
because
because
you got to go fight."
Connie and Jeff are still out there.
Well, in the meantime, Jeff has now deteriorated to the point to where he has to go.
He's in the hospital now also.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things that Connie comes to the hospital because both the people she has to kill are there.
Yeah.
And she goes after Jeff first.
Yep.
And then he decides he doesn't want to die.
Well, they struggle, and Jeff ends up
shooting her. Yeah. And then he decides he doesn't want to die, and he runs off.
Yep.
Because Dawn came after him.
Yep.
And this is going to be a really short episode, but it's
no. We're going to tie.
We can tie to some other stuff.
We'll tie this into some of the crap that's going on today. You know, like with what we just saw with the shootings.
I know, and so,
Kenosha.
But it all comes down to Jeff and Dawn meet each other on a football field.
Yep.
And they have this plan to where they kidnap the.
They
take away. Well, they basically go after the cameraman.
Yeah,
they take the cameras and they run off, and it's one of those things where you see flashes of like people are like reporting them whenever they see them, and
everybody has a phone. Well, it's
this is even before the phones, you know, the cameras.
There's a hotline that you can call, and if you see them, you call them and you report on them.
Right, and so you get like where Dawn tried to go get money out of an ATM. And
I just saw him at an ATM on such and such street.
Right, and so you see the ATM footage, of her trying to get money. You see them where they stop to get gas. You see, different stuff like it's a lot of closed circuit television stuff.
But you've got the entire population
looking for them because
looking for them and turning them in.
Exactly, because and there's also like when she.
So it's a little bit of Big Brother too.
When there's a scene early on where she's at the OBGYN.
Yeah.
And she's having an ultrasound done, and as she's getting everything. The nurse asked her to sign the ultrasound, a copy of the ultrasound for her because she's a big fan. I'm just like, that's just messed up, you get little bits and pieces of stuff like that. You see like one of the first things we see in the movie, she walks into like a convenience store and shoots a guy he's paying and shoots a guy and kills him, and everybody just kind of stands around, because they know what's going on. They know about it.
And then she looks at the guy behind the counter and is like, "Where's your black bean dip?"
Yeah.
And he goes, "Whatever you see is everything we have is out."
Yeah.
And she goes and she gets some stuff and she starts to walk out and he's like, "What about the body?"
Yeah.
And she's like, let them take care of it.
Yeah, I know. It's
evidently they've got a cleanup team.
Yeah, this is, obviously, because they have a SWAT team, they have all this other. Oh, the other thing I was going to we started to get into it. When they're showing like who your new contenders are.
Yeah.
When they're going, they basically go and knock on your door or wherever you are, and they hand you a gun. And the one dude,
Bob.
Bob doesn't want anything to do with it, and he like slams the door and tries to go out the back window, and they catch him, as he's coming out the window, because it's one of those things you cannot opt out of this. This is if you're chosen, you're mandatory. In this thing.
It's kill or be killed,
right? And it's I hate to say that we're moving towards that, but
we're getting pretty close.
I mean, it is. Again. You go back because that was 89 or 90 with the Running Man came out, and we're talking a little over 30 years ago, and that was such this would never happen. And as we've seen reality television, especially reality television game shows, and some of the stuff that there's some show on Netflix now that's apparently pretty mean-spirited, like where you have to like stay up for like 24 hours or something. Yeah, it's one of those things, and it's like, and it's a whole like.
All right,
you have to look it up.
I'm getting the Magic Witch box out.
It's a show where you have to stay up, like you can't go to sleep. It takes place over many, many hours, and the questions, so it's one of those things that your brain is kind of, getting a little wonky after a while, and it makes it difficult to answer the questions or to compete in the challenges and. So it's kind of one of those like, this really.
It's called Awake.
Awake.
The
that's
$1 million game.
Yeah, that's what it is. So, and it's one of those things where like, if you miss a question, anything that you've won up to that point is gone. Like, there's no like, with Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, it's one of those things where like, if you get to it and you're like, well, I don't know this question. You can opt out. You can walk away with whatever you're getting, or if you miss it, you get a lower amount. Of stuff.
So the description on Wikipedia is Awake, the $1 Million Game is an American television game show on Netflix. Contestants on the show must stay awake for over 24 hours before competing in various physical and mental challenges. Right. It was released on June 14th,
last year.
2019. Yeah. 8 episodes.
It's kind of one of those things when I first heard about it, I was like, man, I wish I was younger because that would have been right up my alley.
So you have to be awake over 24 hours
before you ever compete.
Before you even start.
Yes.
So you're already sleep deprived.
Right. Again,
yeah,
especially when I was younger.
You and I would have cleaned
probably
up on
done
that
really
show.
well on it. That's But that's one of the things. I have not watched the show, but I've heard reviews of it from other podcasts that I listen to, and commentators and stuff, and they all said that it's really a mean-spirited show on top of it all. Like, it is just... Wow. It's like unrelenting. And I'm like, okay, that's okay. But, that's just one step to where we're at something else, I mean...
It's always about...
It's about ratings. Everybody's about...
It's about ratings, and... I want to say it's about raising the bar, but it's not really about raising the bar. It's about what's the next thing that can be so outrageous that people will watch this
and
thing.
That they'll keep watching. I remember. We'll get back to the movie here in a minute.
And that's a dangerous place to be.
We'll get back to the movie here in a minute because we're going to talk about the ending. There was a show. I think it might have actually made it 2 seasons. Let me look and see.
Really?
But if it did, I'm surprised. There was a show that was on Fox. It was called The Swan. Do you remember this one?
I don't think so.
Let me look.
I know at one point there was a game show where you were they basically made you an escape convict and you had to escape and try to get off grid and not get caught. I can't remember what the name of that was.
How many seasons did The Swan? It actually did get 2 seasons. I'm surprised at that. Here is the conceit of The Swan, okay, is that they had, I forget, 10 contestants or something like that. So it's 10 women who were overweight and out of shape and, like really didn't feel good about themselves as far as, kind of stuff. And so basically what they did is they brought them into this house and they would set them up with diet and, exercise routine. They would do plastic surgery, do all this kind of stuff. But the thing is that they would have, like, while they're in there going through this transformation, they had all the mirrors covered so they couldn't see what they looked like or anything. And so each week what they would do is they would take 2 women and they would go through this whole process, and then one of them would be eliminated between the 2. And basically what it came down to was it's a, hey, we already know that you feel bad about yourself. Let's do all this stuff, put you through all of this, to get you to lose all this weight, and we'll give you, plastic surgery, and we'll do all this stuff, and then tell you you're still not good enough.
Wow.
And the winners of each week would go on to be in a beauty contest.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that, like, I only watched the first episode of it. The woman that won the first episode actually wound up going on to win the entire thing. And I will say there was a huge difference between where she started and where she ended. But it was still one of those things where it's like, wow, that's just mean-spirited.
I mean, that's taking somebody that's already down.
I know, and kicking them.
And kicking them while they're down over and over again.
Now,
that's kind of why I didn't like The Biggest Loser.
See, I never watched The Biggest Loser, but I've seen clips of it.
Those folks are, working their butts off, trying to lose the weight. And it's not just about, stop eating.
Right. And
because I deal with some of that myself, and it's more than just you should just stop eating.
Right, I know. Well, I know. What was it, Jillian Michaels? Is that her name?
She's the meanest.
And I've seen clips of that where she's like just berating people, like while they're exercising. I was and
like,
stuff.
I could never be on that show because one, you never hit a woman. Yeah, I'm not sure she is a woman. I'd probably hit her. I mean, I wanted to punch her through the TV. Right. She was so
and that
ugly to those people.
And I never really thought Jillian Michaels was that attractive to begin with. So
I don't. Who cares how attractive?
I know, but I'm just saying,
if
it's like
that ugly on the inside.
I know, but it was still one of those things where, like, I never watched an episode of that.
Yeah.
But I've seen clips of it, like here and there, like passing through when somebody else is watching, or somebody posted a clip or whatever, and I'm just like, man, she is. Yeah, I would not put up with some of that crap. There was also that show that was on VH1. It was it Celebrity Fit Club or whatever it was. And they would bring in C and D list celebrities. And they would and the first season, Marsha Brady, Maureen McCormick wound up winning it. And it was one of those, or they were teams. It wasn't, but she had like this huge transformation. Like she lost like 30 some odd pounds, and and it was one of those things that it really was one of those things watching her go through that process, because she had lost her mom like within the last few years, and she was still dealing with that. Yeah. And that's where a lot of the, she'd put on weight and all that kind of stuff. But it was watching her come through that was pretty inspiring, because she was so happy at the end of it, type stuff. There were some other people in there. It was just hard to watch, that just struggled and struggled and struggled no matter what they did. Or that was also whenever Screech was on there, and he was just being a complete ass to everybody. I mean, this was like where it really people started like, wow, Dustin Diamond's an ass, type. Again, but, we're talking about that type of stuff.
We're talking about a society where Celebrity Rehab is a reality show.
Yeah, I watched that.
I mean, really?
And it was sad. Again, you would see some people come through it on the other side, and it was great. But then you had Mike Starr, who went through 2 seasons of that and still died of a drug overdose. And
every time we lose somebody from Alice in Chains, it tears me to pieces.
It's one of those things where, and so many people in there, I would sit there and watch that show, and I could tell you who was going to do well and who wasn't. Because a lot of it's the attitude. It's the, I don't need to be here. This is not a problem. I don't, blah, blah, blah.
But the fact that watching people go through
I know.
drug rehab is a television show? Mm-hmm. Sorry, that's not too far off of what we're talking about.
Okay, look.
With Series 7.
And we talked about this in one of our recent episodes about celebrity, or actually last episode about the universes. You're talking about the surreal life, all the spinoffs. You get the Flavor of Love, okay? And there was the spinoff with the New York, the woman that. The whole thing with that. Did you watch Flavor of Love? Okay, here's the thing. She was one of the last 2 contestants.
If I remember right, she was like the biggest, loudest, meanest.
But she made it all the way to the end of both seasons that she was on. Yeah. Like as one of the final 2. Both times she slept with him, and he chose the other woman.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this. One of my favorite, I never saw the second season of it, but one of my favorite, one of these trash reality shows from back in the day, especially around this time period, was Joe Millionaire. And I'll tell you why.
I completely forgot about that show.
And I'll tell you why I liked it so much, because it was all, I mean, it was set up from the beginning. Dude's not a millionaire. You know, he's a construction worker, you know, making about $20,000 a year, you know, type stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
But they set it all up with these women to be like, oh, look, you could marry a millionaire. You could blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, no, I like this concept. Let's get all the gold diggers in there and let them act like fools trying to get this millionaire, and then come to find out he's not. I find that funny. You know, that's me. That's me. You know, I mean, some people would say that's mean, but I'm like, no, you kind of get what you deserve in that situation. You know? Now I know there's a huge thing with The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. I've never watched any of those shows.
I haven't watched any of them.
Care less about any of it, because again, it's that same concept of, you know, on both sides, The Bachelor and The Bachelorette.
Well, first off,
both of them.
Because they're all rich.
Yeah.
They're all rich.
They all want to be.
First off, if you got that kind of money,
they're all actors.
And you look like that.
Yeah.
Sorry, those people are like, you know, models and actors.
I know.
If you're rich and you look like that,
you don't need to go on a show.
And you can't find a date.
Right.
There's something so deeply wrong with you.
I agree.
Personality-wise.
I agree.
That you probably don't need to be
yeah, you don't need to be socialized at all. It's like, you just need to go away.
Please don't breed.
Yeah, don't. Yeah, but that's the whole thing with those shows, is that all those contestants want to be actors. You know, I mean, you know, there's several of them that have gone on to do stuff. You know, and they got their start on you know, The Bachelor or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, screw you. I don't know.
And they're always like the worst of people.
I know. It's just So speaking of the worst of people, let's get back to Series 7. Now that we've gone over into and I'm sure I'm missing. Oh, there was one show. It never made it to the. It never made it to the United States.
Okay.
I think it was a British show, like an English show. You know, it was. I think it was. Okay. It was called "There's Something About Miriam." Did you ever hear about this one? This, in a lot of ways, I love this. I think this is hilarious. Okay. So basically, they had this woman, Miriam, who was looking for, you know, a husband, or, you know, a soulmate, or whatever it was. They were putting it out there. Okay. Yeah. So they had all these guys come on, you know, and they were, you know, going through and competing and blah 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 blah. When it came down to the end of the show, come to find out, Miriam used to be a dude. Oh. They never told them this going into it. They knew, the producers knew, well, that was part of the whole thing. And then it was like, so what are you going to do now? You know, and it's like, can you imagine being that guy coming down to, like, you've been through all of this stuff and it's all on television. Yeah. It's all, you know, and then come to find out this woman that you've been pursuing on this show turns out to have been a man at some point. Yeah. That is, again, very mean-spirited and misleading.
And setting you up for, depending on which way you go with it, setting you up for some very bad
well, you know, consequences. That also goes back to I was going to bring this into it. It goes back to the whole Jenny Jones lawsuit that happened in the mid-'90s, where, you know, for those of you that don't remember, Jenny Jones was one of those trashy daytime, you know, and one of the episodes they had was someone you work with has a crush on you. Yep. And so they brought this guy on there. Said, there's somebody, you know, wants to tell you they had a crush on you. And they didn't tell him anything beyond that. Well, come to find out, it was another guy that worked there. Well, he wasn't gay. The guy they brought on there wasn't gay. And it was one of those things that he kind of let it. You watch the episode, there was never anything like aggressive or hostile or anything. He was just like, he told him, he was like, I'm not gay. You know, but the thing is that he wound up suing Jenny Jones because it was he was like, I was completely misled here. Yep. You know, he said that they let on that it was a woman that, you know, somebody, you know, and then this whole thing happened. Well, unfortunately, there's something, I don't know all the details off the top of my head, that there was an altercation like later. Yeah. outside of the show, outside of work, and the guy wound up killing the other one, the one that had the crush on him. You know, and it's one of those things where it's like, and then there was a lawsuit. You know, there was a whole thing of like, is Jenny Jones culpable for this? You know, because that show, those producers, they set this entire thing up, and they're kind of accessories to murder now.
Yeah, they are.
You know, and it's one of those things. I think that they wound up winning. They settled, or actually, I think it went all the way through, and they didn't. They ultimately didn't have any culpability in it, but the show wound up going off the air shortly after that. I mean, it was just kind of and that's the kind of thing that, you know, whatever your orientation's fine, but to purposely mislead someone and bring them, whatever it is, you know, I mean, whatever it is, you know, I mean, it's like
on national TV
and embarrass them
with the
you know,
purpose
exactly.
of embarrassing them,
exactly, and that's all those shows
or
are.
making them look bad on public,
right.
you know, national television, because now that's going to mess with your reputation, your job, everything later on down the road.
Not in that whole, you know, like with the the homosexual thing.
Well, I'm talking with any of it.
Oh, I know, but I'm talking about, you know, there were several incidences, not nearly to that, you know,
extent.
What wound up becoming such a catastrophe with Ricky Lake's show of you know, I've got a secret, you know, and it come to find out, you know, somebody's significant other is cheating on them or whatever, you know, and like, to bring somebody on a show like this and then surprise them with the, you know, in the beginning, some of that stuff was,
you know, at least with Jerry Springer, they were paid actors.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. In the beginning, like before Jerry Springer became Jerry Springer, some of that stuff was legit. Not a lot of it, but there were some instances of like, no, you could tell this person was really not expecting what happened, you know, type stuff. And that's just, it's just mean-spirited is what it is. You know, that's it's embarrassing, and of course now everybody saw it. You know, not just your friends and your family, but like everybody, people you don't know, saw this. And you know, especially for some of the audiences that they had, especially Springer back in the day, he used to bring in like millions and millions of people watching this show, and all of a sudden people know your face, they know your name, they know, you know,
the general area of the country where you live at.
They know what happened to you, you know. And it's so anyways, let's get back to Series 7 now that we've taken into trashy reality television, because that's what this whole thing is sending up. You know?
This movie was basically
it's a send up. It's a complete. It's a parody, or not a parody, but a what's the word I'm looking for?
Farce, not farce.
No.
My wife was here. She could tell us
because she's smart.
Yeah. Not like us.
It's satire.
There you go. Satire. Yeah.
We'll get there eventually. She would come up with it immediately. We'll get there eventually.
Yeah. Because we're big dummies.
Yeah. So Dawn and Jeff, as they're on the run,
they try to escape the show.
They try to escape, but then they kind of...
They're like, we're in love. I love you. I love you.
Well, yeah. But of course, you remember, Jeff's married.
Yeah.
But it's also one of those things that the wife knows that he's not in love with her.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, she's been there for him. I think it's 4 years or something like that. I want to say that they've been married, and she's tried. She's tried. You can tell. I mean, and you can tell she's also really worn down, in all this. And so, but yeah, they take off together, and they go, but now that they've decided we can't get away the way that we would like to. And this is one of my favorite scenes in the movie. They go into this movie theater.
Yep.
And they've got the camera and everything, and they basically take it hostage. And so they're with the camera. Dawn is looking. She's like, "All right, look." Or no, she gets on the phone. Isn't that right? And
no,
she's on.
He's shooting the camera. He's shooting her.
Right.
She's wanting. We've got these people hostage.
Right, and she says,
if you need to bring me my baby."
Right, you've got half an hour to bring me my baby. If you don't, then somebody's going to die. And it's funny because the people in the
audience
starts clapping, and she's like, "I'm talking about you, dumbass."
Well, and it really blurs the line, because these people are.
They've watched the show. They know
so
what's going on.
They think it's a show, but at the same time, they're now active participants that could end up dead because of this.
So what happens in this? They
Will Arnett shows up.
Will Arnett shows up, but before he shows, they say, due to technical issues, the film was destroyed, so we're doing a dramatic reenactment of what happened. And then, so it cuts. Will Arnett walks in, and he's kind of being.
And we've got two actors playing Jeff and Dawn.
Exactly, and they go through a scenario of what happens here.
Yeah.
And basically, what it comes down to is that
they've got Dawn's baby out in the lobby.
Yes.
And all she has to do is kill Jeff.
Just kill Jeff, right.
And they'll give her a baby, and they'll let her go
right
before she's killed her 10 people.
Now, this is what they are portraying.
Yeah.
Well, actually, he would be the 10th. No, he wouldn't, because she didn't kill enough. She only killed one other person. Did she kill anybody? Yeah, she killed Connie.
Yeah.
No, he killed Connie.
He killed Connie.
Okay, yeah. So anyways, she's still got 5 more to go.
Yeah, she hasn't killed anybody in this series.
So it is.
Well, when Will Arnett's there doing his spill,
right,
they bring Jeff's wife in.
Well, no. She doesn't come in yet.
Okay.
Because basically what it comes down to, in the way they're portraying it, Jeff says, "Oh, kill me. I want you to." It's, he puts the gun down, that kind of stuff. And so she goes to, but then Jeff's wife comes in and shoots Dawn.
Yeah.
And I think she shoots, or no, he shoots himself, right? Is that what happened?
Yes.
Okay. Then he shoots himself in the head. And it shows them laying there together on the floor.
And it shows them holding hands.
Right.
And in a pool of blood.
Right. And it's like,
it's a real Romeo and Juliet
moment.
Right.
And it's this whole, of course, they're doing all this television production and blah, 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 blah.
And this is all in that dramatic reenactment.
Right. And then it comes in and it says, next time on Series 8, because they're going into the Contender Series 8.
Yeah.
And they show his wife. She's in prison because she killed Dawn, and she wasn't a member. She wasn't on the show, so she actually murdered somebody.
And she actually, the reason, and come to find out, the whole reason Jeff was in the hospital is because she had taken a bunch of his pain pills and blended them up,
right,
and given them to Jeff, trying to get him dead because Dawn didn't show back up to kill him.
Yeah.
So she tried to assist him in suicide, and then she shot Dawn. So now she's in prison.
Right. And she's saying that it's the television. It wasn't my fault. It was the television show, type stuff. And then they're like, we'll introduce you to our next, blah, blah, blah. And then it says,
and next on season 8, we have a new contender.
Or we have a surprising contender.
Yeah.
And they go into the television. They go into a hospital room.
Yeah.
And Jeff wakes up because he doesn't die. He wasn't dying. He looks straight into the camera. He's like, oh shit. And that's the end of the movie.
Yep. In fact, I think they even cut it off before he completes
it's
the
one
word.
of those things though, but it's just like it's such a this is exactly, because the thing with their dramatic reenactment is one of those where it's like, okay, obviously it didn't go down like this.
Yeah.
This again, going back to Todd.
Yeah.
Of he stabbed himself in the back, a self-inflicted wound in the back, and blah blah blah. It's like, obviously they couldn't use the footage without looking bad, so we had technical issues, so we're going to come back and do this.
The story was manipulated.
Absolutely. Which again,
how does that sound familiar?
Again, we know
that the reality TV shows
are all manipulated. Anytime you watch one of the shows, there is a list of writers in the credits.
Going back to the very first Real World, which is where reality TV started. No, it is.
No, it's not, because there were shows prior to that. That's the one that kicked off reality television as we know it.
Yeah, but after it was over and they went back and they did the
edits,
the story behind the scenes.
Right.
You find out Julie had been sleeping with one of the producers.
No, it wasn't Julie. It was Julie. Julie. No. It was.
It was
but they talk
girl.
about. No, it wasn't the long hair girl. It was the short hair girl. Because it was one of those things that the producer actually winds up on the show, and they point out, because when they go on vacation, he's there with them, and they point him out and say ex-producer, and that's because she had been involved with him. What was her name? I can't remember her name now.
Okay, I'm going to the Magic Witch Box.
It wasn't Julie. It wasn't Heather. It was the other girl. Because remember, that was the whole thing with Julie, is she was a virgin from Alabama.
Real World Season 1. Hold on, I'm looking it up.
Oh, what was her name?
Cast.
Was it Becky? I think it was Becky. But that wasn't the last time that something like that happened, though, because they had the same thing in Seattle with one of the guys. He started having a relationship with one of the producers, and she got fired.
Real World Series, New York.
Season 1, because they went to New York a couple of times.
You had Becky.
It's Becky. It was Becky.
Andre, Heather, Julie, Norman, and Eric.
And Eric, yeah.
And Kevin Powell.
Yep.
So it was Becky.
It was Becky was the one that did it, yeah. And there was a lot of that type of stuff. It's funny to watch the Real World. Like those first 4 seasons are fairly... They really did kind of just turn the cameras on and let them go. The 4th season when they were in London was
and they made them get jobs.
No, 4th season was boring as everything. I mean, it was boring. The next season when they were in Miami, that's when they're like, okay, you got to get jobs. You got to, it's one of those things. They started making them do stuff, And
Isn't
then
that
it was
the season where Puck shows up?
No, that was in season 2. That was L.A.
Yeah, okay, you're right. Which
No, that was season 3. Yeah, it was season 3 in San Francisco.
Yeah, because he was a bike messenger.
Right,
yeah.
right. And that was...
Puck was...
But you know what? He made things interesting.
Yeah, he did.
He made it until they kicked him out of there. You know? Now, he wasn't the first one kicked off. Who was the first one kicked off?
It was Eric.
No, it wasn't Eric.
There was a major fight between Eric and Julie.
There was.
And I think... Didn't Eric get kicked?
No.
Okay.
It was in the second season. It was in the L.A. season.
All right.
There was a guy... of course, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. He was the first one kicked off, but because it was that whole deal where Tammy, he was like, she was under the covers or something, and he was pulling the covers and everything, and it was one of those things that originally it was a, oh, this is funny, ha 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 ha, and then Beth started telling Tammy, was like, no, that's like sexual assault.
Oh,
and then she got mad, and it
was,
and he wound up getting kicked off the show because of it.
Yeah,
and it was kind of one of those. I remember watching him going,
Isn't that the same one where they had everybody showering in the unisex bathrooms or something?
No. Now that was late. That was much later, dude. I'm telling you, when they got to the Las Vegas episode,
they all blend together.
When they got to the Las Vegas season, that was the one where it's like, okay, here's our model from here on out. We're going to get these people in here. We're going to get them drunk. We're going to get them horny, and we're going to let it go. And it was all out after that.
And then you had Big Brother.
Well, Big Brother, Big Brother came around. 'Cause, again, Big Brother was a British television show, and it came across the pond after Survivor was such a hit.
Yeah,
and all of a sudden everybody's like, oh, what else can we do? And somehow that show's still on the air. So
I can't believe that.
I've never watched it again.
I haven't either. There's one British game show that it's basically a dating show, but everybody's naked.
Oh, is that naked and what is it?
But like they have like 6 or 7 people, and the first thing they do is they raise a petition up to where you can see them from the waist down naked. And they're like, all right, whose private parts look the most attractive to you?
Wow.
And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Wow, that's funny. I don't know about. I do know it's something like there is a show, something. It's not Naked and Afraid. It's
oh, that's on Discovery.
Yeah, it's something else where it is a dating show. I know that it's like where they go on dates without any clothes. I don't know. Anyway, I don't watch a lot of reality television.
I don't either
at all.
Honestly, the only one I really watched ever was Real World New York. Because it was,
I watched the Real World.
It was so much different from everything else.
I watched,
but that thing deteriorated so quickly. Oh, yeah. I was like, okay.
I watched the first. What was the last season of the Real World that I watched? Oh man, I don't even remember. It was before they went back to New York. It was. Yeah. See, I might have. I caught bits and pieces of Las Vegas, which was after that. I'm trying to think the last time I really watched the Real World. It would have been inside the first 7 or 8 seasons of it. I watched the New Orleans episodes. I watched the Hawaii. of course, Seattle and London and L.A. and San Francisco and Miami and all Boston. I watched the Boston one also, and I watched all of those because that was a thing that we did. Gen X, that was kind of our, and then it started getting really ridiculous, and I mean,
it got ridiculous for you way later than it did.
Yeah,
for me,
but no, I mean, it got really ridiculous eventually.
Well, it basically became MTV Beach House.
Yeah, that's a lot
after
of it.
like the fourth season.
Well, that's what I'm saying. No, once you got to, especially the first Las Vegas season, that was this is where we're amping this thing up to the nth degree, and it was just like after that it was as formulaic as a Jerry Springer show. Okay, this is where the person comes out and they get into a fight and this is blah blah blah. On that show it was this is where everybody goes out and gets drunk, they start hooking up, then there's problems because then they break up and they don't like each other and they're in the blah 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 blah, and it was just it was so formulaic of okay, this is who this person is, this is who this person is, this is who this person is, and it was just like, all right, this is dumb. I will tell you this. You remember when they used to do the Real World Road Rules Challenge? Yeah, I really enjoyed those, and then for a while, and I'll tell you, I jumped off of them after several seasons because when it got into people I had no idea who they were because I'd stopped watching either of the shows. I'm like, okay, I don't know anybody on these shows any longer. So but apparently those things are still going on.
I mean, we've even missed one here. Fear Factor.
Oh yeah, Rogan's show.
I mean,
I tell you, one time they had a casting call here for it, and I was going to go. Because I'm like, dude, I've got a pretty cast iron stomach about stuff, I mean, just, and I went down to where they were having the auditions, and the line was just, I was like, no, there's no way.
Well, the thing about it, even Rogan talks about it on his podcast.
Oh, I know.
You would get people on the show, and they were not. No, I'm not doing that. And then he would literally have to goad them.
I know.
Into doing stuff, and that stuff would make it to the show. Where it's Rogan being an absolute awful person to these people to get them to.
Well, that show,
eat a bucket of.
Whatever. I know it's there was always something really gross.
Or you need to crawl in this box with like all these poisonous snakes or something like that.
That kind of stuff. The biggest thing for me in that show wasn't. I never saw them do anything that I'm like, no, I would never do that. Just the one thing that always got for me when I was like, I should go on this show was. Sometimes the food stuff, it wasn't that it was so gross. It was that I know how much food I can consume. Yeah. And sometimes it went beyond that. And I'm like, I don't know that I could eat that much. Yeah. That's we
need you to eat an entire cow's tongue.
Yeah. Like, raw. Okay, but I don't know that I can get it all down, not because of what it is, but because my stomach's just not going to handle it. I mean, just not going to, and that type of stuff. But as far as all the other stuff, I'm like, no, I'd do it. Yes. But I was at a casino one time playing blackjack, and this has been years, 14, 15 years ago, And the dealer, we were in Tunica, Mississippi, and the dealer is sitting there, and like I doubled down with the dealer showing a 10 or something like that. And I had done it several times, and I had hit a couple of them, and some of them I hadn't or whatever. And when I did it this last time, he's like, dude, he goes, I cannot believe you're doubling down with me showing a 10 again. And I'm like, hey, you never know, type stuff. He's like, they need to put you on Fear Factor because you're going to be, he's like, I know, you're going to be that, you're going to be that MF for this. It's like, okay, we need you to like drive this, this car at 200 miles an hour and then flip it over, and you're going to be like, all right, here we go. And I had just met the guy.
That's hysterical.
But,
did you win that hand or not?
I actually did. I actually did win that hand, but then I got cleaned out like not long after that.
Well, because the pit boss saw what was going on in the video camera.
Well, no, it was because one of the idiots that I was there with didn't know how to play cards. And I've told you that story, right?
No.
Okay. I'm going to tell this. I know this is getting a little off
topic. Hold on. Let me pull that switch so we
can
derail this train.
So I'm sitting there. I'm sitting at first base.
Yeah.
All right. For those of you who don't know, it's basically I'm the first one that gets cards coming out all the way around. The guy that was sitting at third base, the very last one, was with our party. It was I was on a bachelor party, and I did not know this guy. Like a couple of people that were there, they were friends of the bachelor, but I didn't know them, And the guy that was sitting over there. So here's what happened. Okay, I'll never forget this as long as I live. I'm sitting here, and I had it was a double down situation, and I was winning. Like I was winning. I had a lot of money sitting here.
Yeah.
And I had put $200 on this hand.
Okay.
Because I was winning, and it was one of those things I basically had $400 sitting in front of me. Okay. I put $200 on the hand. Well, it was a situation where the dealer was showing a 5.
Yeah.
It's a bus card.
Yeah.
Okay. I had the opportunity to double down. Put the other $200 out there. So now I've got $400 sitting on this hand.
Yeah.
Everybody goes around, plays it the way they're supposed to. It gets over to that idiot. He's sitting there with 14. Okay?
Yeah.
No, he was sitting there with 17. I take that back. He's sitting on 17. He's even got a higher card than what? No, I take that back. No. He was sitting at 14 because the dealer was sitting on 15. That's what it was. So and I'm sitting. I'm literally across the table going, "Do not take a hit. Do not take the hit." And he's like, "I don't know, man. What if he's got a 10 there, he's going to beat me. This 15 is going to beat my 14." And I'm like, "Do not take the hit." And he goes, "Hit me."
Oh.
Flips a 10 out there. He busts. The dealer flips over. He's got 15.
Yeah.
He hits it and gets a 6. Would have busted.
Yeah.
With the other. And I just sat there and glared at this guy. And my buddy Rob, who was his bachelor party, was sitting next to me. He was like, "Yeah, let's go take a walk." It's just kind of
yeah. Absolutely.
I was angry.
Yeah, it got cost you $400.
Yeah, I know.
I would have turned around and looked at him and be like, "You owe me $400."
I was so mad at that situation. I was so mad about that. And so that's I know it's gambling. But it's still one of those things where somebody's acting stupid at the table.
Yeah.
I was going to win $800. I was going to be up $800 basically.
And you probably would have bought him something.
I may have, yeah. But it was still one of those things where I'm like, you do not hit on the. So anyway,
this is why I don't gamble.
I'm going to be happy when things kind of start getting a little more normal.
Yeah.
So I can go back to the casino because the last time I was there, I had a blast. I always look at it. You have to look at it this way, Dave.
Yeah, it's gaming. You go in with a set amount. Once you hit that, you stop there.
And it's like, hey, you're going there with your friends, and you're going to sit around, and you're going to have some laughs, and you're going to have a good time. And it's like the last time I went to a casino, there was a dealer that was working our table.
Yeah.
She was. I don't know, she was in her late 20s or something like that, kind of cute or whatever. And we had a blast sitting at her table just like just cutting up the entire time, and even to the point of where when we were finally done, when she was getting ready to leave, I was like, "Yeah, I'm getting out of here." That she before she left came over and asked my full my name, and she said, "Thank you for making the last few hours so much fun." Type stuff. Nice. Of that, that's what I hate sitting at a table with people who are serious about their gambling because it's no fun for anybody.
I'll go to friends, occasionally I'll go to friends, friendly poker games that they have at their house or something like that. But casino,
you just have to look again. It's the same thing. It's the atmosphere. And it depends because if you've got a dealer who's just not personable at all, it's not even.
And honestly, I'm terrible at gambling.
Yeah, you got to learn how to do it.
I'm terrible at it. I've never been good at math.
Yeah,
I'm terrible at math, and I have a terrible memory. So trying to figure out what everybody else is holding is always it's always come down to just
dumb luck,
or sometimes I can actually look at a person and be like, Okay, I think I know what you're holding.
Yeah, I think so. Sometimes
my bull crap.
Sometimes
my bull crap meter will go off and be like, no.
Sometimes
I'm terrible at cards.
I used to be again that idiot that would, I'm always in no matter what my hand was, and I'm like that's hoping to draw to something, basically. Honestly, and I'm like I would
probably do better at pure games of chance,
right?
Like craps or roulette or something like that.
Craps.
Because if I'm doing anything else, I'm overthinking it.
Craps is, you have the better odds in your favor on craps. Now, the problem with craps, I have never figured out how to play that game because there's so many bets going on. There's so many. You can bet on anything. I mean, anything in craps. And I'm always like, I don't know what's going on here. My friend Dwayne, he went with us, to the casino the last time, and he was trying to explain. He's like, I always play craps. He's like, look, here's your rule. If there's a woman who's throwing the dice, you always bet with her. Like, always. Whatever she's betting, you bet that. And he won a pretty decent amount of money playing in craps up there.
Wow.
So
or like in roulette, that's easy.
Roulette's fun.
You put a bet on red, you put a bet on black, and you always break even.
Well, actually, you can lose though because of the zeros. Yeah, and I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen.
But the odds of that happening as much
you
as
would
what
be
it does,
surprised.
Really?
You would be surprised.
This is why I'm terrible at math.
Because it throws the probabilities off just enough.
Yeah.
To really kind of screw you. It's roulette. I learned to play roulette when I was in Vegas when I was like 27 years old, and I had a blast playing because it was one of those things I finally learned how to play.
Yeah.
And learned that like, oh no, you don't just pick numbers. You can bet like squares. Of like if it hits any of these numbers, you don't win as much money as you would, or you can bet on this entire line of numbers, or you can bet on just the evens or just the odds, or you can bet on just the whatever it is, and that's a lot of fun. Again, I have a story from that same. It was the last day we were there. We were getting on a plane the next day to fly back to Nashville.
Yeah,
and I had $35 in chips in my hand. I had other money, but this was like all the And I was like, I guess I'm done. I'll never forget the dealer's name was Abate. I'll never forget this, okay?
Here we go.
Because we met this guy early on in our trip, and we were like, Abate's cool. We always came back to him. Whatever he was doing, whether he was dealing with blackjack or he was doing roulette or whatever, we would always like go and find Abate every time, okay? So we're sitting there and we're talking to him, and everything, and I'm like, all right, I got about $35. I stood up for the table. I was like, I'm out,
Yeah.
Picked up my money and I put it in the pocket on the front of my flannel that I was wearing, and my friend Brody, and my friend Toad were both we were all there, and Brody's like, put it all on black 13, put it all on black 13, put it all on black 13. I'm like, I know. And so the wheel's spinning, and he hasn't released the ball yet, but it's spinning, and I was like, and I reached into my pocket and I pulled out the money, and I'm standing in there for a second. I'm like, all right. And I go to place it, and Abate goes, no more bets, and waved everything off.
So you didn't get your bet in?
It hit black 13.
Oh. You should have known with your luck.
Over $1,200.
Oh, wow.
And it was one of those things where, of course, everybody starts laughing. I was like, I put the money back in my pocket, and I was like, it's time to go home.
Yep. Yep.
And that was it. So, but yeah, roulette is another one of those. Once you learn how to play, again, it's fun, especially if you get somebody that a personable, the person who's running the table, if they're, if they'll talk and cut up and stuff. Again, you look at it as, when I was the last time I was at the casino, which it was back in January.
Yeah.
And there's three of us that went, and it was one of those things that like at one point I was up couple $100, and by the time it was all said and done, as far as gambling, I pretty much was even, but I had spent money for like food and that kind of stuff. So it was one of those things I was down $75-$80, just for all that type of stuff, and it was one of those things where I was like, that's fine. This was fun. I got to go hang out with two of my friends, and we had a good time.
So let me ask you this: when you go to the casino, how much money do you take that is designated just for
It depends on how I'm doing. Usually, it depends. If we're just going to be there for like an overnight.
Let's talk about it's a weekend trip.
Okay, we're going to be there for several days.
Let's say you fly in on Friday and you're flying out on Monday.
So I guess I'm going to Vegas at this point.
Yeah.
Okay. Vegas is a little different than if I'm like driving to like Tunica or up to Metropolis or one of those places, that's like we're going up there and coming back, within a day or so, type stuff. If I'm flying out there, as far as gambling money goes,
just gambling money,
I'll be honest, I don't really do a ton of gambling in Vegas. Actually, I take that back because the last time I was there, which was almost 3 years ago, that's pretty much all I did, because it's one of those things. Since the last time I had been to Las Vegas, which was in 2006 until 2018 when I was there again, 12 years had gone by, for one thing. I didn't drink anymore. None of that type of stuff. So it was like, all I've got to do is gamble and eat. So it's like
gamble, eat, and shows.
Well, I didn't even go. I tell you what, dude, those shows are expensive. Any of the shows out there are expensive. So it's one of those things that's all I went out there to do. We were there for 3 days, 2 nights, 3 days, 2 nights, type thing.
Yeah.
And so that really and truly all I was there for was just to gamble. So
okay. So how much did you take?
I think I took about $500 with me or something like that. But that was everything. I guess just gambling in that, I had probably designated about $300 for,
Okay, so just gambling, not
just gambling, not
forget
everything.
Hotel room.
Yeah, no,
that
just gambling. I'd probably take, and then I wound up taking out some more while I was there. I wound up
$500 in cash.
Yeah, easily, and I lost every bit of it. And then
because you don't win in Vegas.
Oh, no, you never win in Vegas.
So if you're gonna hop in the car and run down to Tunica.
Well, first off, I will not run down to Tunica. I swore that place off years ago because it always takes my money.
Okay, so
but usually,
you hop in the car and you run off to Metropolis.
Yeah, Metropolis, a couple $100, because I know I'm going to be there for only a matter of time. I have plenty.
Two days.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, even like with this trip that I took, back in January, it literally was we drove up that morning, and we stayed that night, and we came back the next day. So it's kind of one of those, you're gambling from when you get there until when you leave the next, or until you go to sleep that night, and then the next unless you have done really well, you really don't go back to the casino the next morning, to play anymore or whatever.
No, I have a very important question to ask you about going up to Metropolis and gambling, and it's based completely on my personal interest.
Yes, I have seen the Superman statue.
No.
Yes, I have.
No. I can't stand Superman. Yeah. I'm a Batman guy.
Right.
How are the buffets? The fat man wants to know.
I don't know about Metropolis, honestly.
That was more of a joke than anything. It was a fat joke of myself.
There is a place in southern Indiana. It's not there. There's several places in Indiana. There's one outside of Evansville. There's one in French Lick. But then there's this other place that is, I forget the name. It's not Jeffersonville. It's the town right next to Indiana. Basically, when you cross over the river from Louisville into Indiana, right there, you go across, it's that next town. Like, it's right there. It's not Jeffersonville when you come across. It's like the next town over, but it's still on the riverfront.
Yeah.
And I've been there probably more times than anywhere else. And they used to, and it's something different now, but they used to have a, what was her name? What was her name? The famous chef.
Don't say Paula Dean.
It was Paula Dean. It was.
Okay.
Now, this is going back a few years, but there was a Paula Dean thing, and I'll tell you what, the food was magnificent in that buffet. But then all of her stuff happened, and then they took her name off of it, and they put it's not the same now. So.
I'll say this about Paula Dean. The fabulous Miss Nay and I, we actually honeymooned in Savannah, Georgia.
Okay.
And one of the places we ate was at Paula Dean's place. That was literally the worst place we ate at in Savannah.
Maybe because all the other, like, just the southern cooking that you got in Savannah, you got the hometown
the food
stuff.
Was always overcooked.
Yeah.
It was way too salty. Actually,
the couple times that I ate there up in Indiana, it was delicious. So
now if you like that kind of family.
We are so far off topic.
Oh, I know. Well, no, we are.
We stopped talking about anything even remotely close to it a long time ago.
I can actually tie the gambling back into the thing because these folks were literally state or federal sanctioned gambling with their lives.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
So
anyway,
on that note, we'll talk about Fat Man stuff later.
Yeah. Thanks for putting up with the last 15, 20 minutes of us just rambling. Check out Series 7, The Contender. I don't think that it's available on any of the streaming stuff.
It's not. I looked for it.
Because I had to loan you the DVD.
Yeah.
It is available on DVD, I can tell you that much.
You may have to search for it a little bit.
Yeah, you may have to search, but it's definitely worth a look.
Yeah.
Because it's so funny sometimes movies that we cover, and then you look at like when they were released, and the context now of like, wow, this was kind of prophetic a little bit,
Speaking of which, we probably should do one on Idiocracy.
I've never seen that movie.
You've never seen Idiocracy?
I have not.
Okay, I got to find a copy of that.
I know. Everybody keeps talking about that's where we're living. We have been for years now. I'm like, whatever. So anyways, thanks again for listening to the Project Gen X podcast. If you would like to follow us,
you can find us on Instagram,
Twitter, Facebook, Parler or whatever, all under Project Gen X Pod.
Yeah.
And
our email is projectgenxpod@gmail.com.
And then our hub is
caffeineandsleepingpills.com.
Correct. And there are links to all of these in the description.
Yep.
So come and check us out. And we have some cool things coming, especially on Caffeine and Sleeping Pills. I've got several people working on columns, to write articles for series for us on everything. And I'm still trying to get Dave to do
I'm trying to decide what I'm going to do. I don't know. Maybe it'll be something about tech help or something.
There you go. There you go. It's
how to start your podcast.
There you go. So anyways, again, guys, I am Alan Smith.
I am Big Dave.
And we'll see you next time.
See ya.